Welcome, Powerheads, to the 37th episode of the original PowerWatch After Show. Joining me today is B. Libas.
Hi, everybody. Hello from Nashville, Tennessee.
Cashville, Tennessee.
Next up is my boy, Sean Estrada.
What's going on, Power fans? I'm Sean Estrada from the Power Episodes and Recaps and Theories Facebook fan page.
And bringing up the rear, the master of logistics, we have Eric Evan.
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing, man? Eric Atherley out here. Keep things together.
Always coming from these exotic locations. Where you at now?
Right now, I'm in the Road River off the Chesapeake Bay.
A little swaggy. Okay, Powerheads, let's get right into it. Season finale, that was just like a few months ago, and now we're back, with the Ghost Book 2. I personally liked it, but it looks like we got some dissenting opinion coming up. So, getting started, we had a recap of what happened in the final episode. Next thing you know, Tariq's getting messages because he's late. First guy we see is Simon's third. What you guys got to say about that Simon situation?
I have to commend the Power writers, directors, and everything, because I personally feel as though they did a ton in this first episode to strengthen Tariq's character. I think we all question the strength of his character as far as being able to kind of hold the show. And although, yes, it was kind of predicated on the murder of Ghost and things like that, I definitely think that they jumped out right from episode 1, strengthening his character.
I would say that in order for Tariq to succeed, similar to what Eric was saying, they had to provide a good supporting cast. I would equivalent that to LeBron and any team he's ever been on, whether it's Miami or Cleveland or Lakers. Without a supporting cast, it doesn't get done.
LeBron James is not winning a championship.
Okay, here we go. In this corner.
Without two other superstars. And that's coming from a Lakers fan.
Okay, definitely, fellas. I definitely agree with you on that one. Basically, he was way more intelligent than they really let on in the previous series. And there might be a reason for that. Maybe they just wanted to have some suspense involved with that. But Ghost did put him in the best schools. He definitely has the capacity, but they just didn't focus on him before because he was going through so much emotional turmoil.
I don't think it was really a product of that's who he was the entire time. I think what you're dealing with is they've listened and heard from, everyone who has said they don't think that Tariq is strong enough to hold a show on his own. And they, right out of the gate, created a character that is much stronger than he's ever been in the entire series.
I think what they did was, because he doesn't have the street mentality yet, like his father did, he has the book smarts. They're going to try to approach this with, he's a hustler, but he's using his different level of smarts until he can gain that street smart. That's what I really think is going to happen. Without his father there to solve his problems, he has to do everything himself, both legal and not legal. And now he's able to live a part of his father's life. That's what they showed us in this first episode. They were saying, okay, well, obviously he's not a grown man to have a corporation, but he's in school. So that's the legal part. But he has to do his shady stuff on the side to go ahead and make ends meet to pay this lawyer that he can't afford.
So the thing about the whole thing, I think, just provides you with a message that is very real. What I found in that particular time of that particular episode is that somebody else was becoming his advocate to provide the opportunity for him to belong to an honors class. And I've experienced this with my Black boys, where we as parents have to always go back to the school and advocate for them so that they can have the opportunity to take honors courses that will actually allow them to enter into the best colleges and universities and be able to perhaps get a scholarship or perhaps accelerate their years in college, which is what Tariq wants. Without a Black professor or a Black teacher, a lot of the students don't get that opportunity, to actually advance in school.
Let's all be very honest with ourselves. Tariq's not going to school because he wants to get a degree and he wants to further his education. He's going to school because the only way that he gets this money from Ghost is to get a 4-year degree. He's buying and selling drugs in order to pay for this lawyer for his mom, who's sitting there taking the bid for him, it's not going to end well. It can't. It can't. It's not the American dream.
I think they're gonna stretch it out to make it end well. I think that's what they're gonna do with that because we all know Tasha is getting out of jail. That's written. You can believe it's before the end of the season, she'll be out of there. Method's gonna do his deal, and Method's he is an incredible actor. You know, a lot of us didn't know that beforehand, but I've seen him play like a mortician. I've seen him play a whole bunch of other stuff. So outside of the stuff with Reggie Noble, Redman, outside of that, he's actually showing his acting chops. Now he was in that Rebel TV show as well. All right, so going forward, Effie, who expected that? I looked at the old episodes and I was like, they can't leave this character out of what's going on with Tariq, even though she dogged him out. And we didn't get a full explanation for what was going on with that. But then they didn't put her in any of the cast appearance photos or anything like that in the hype leading up to the episode. But here she is.
What you also got for Tariq, he's able to choose his path. He can go with 3 girls. He can go with the one that is into his lifestyle, which is Effie. He can go with the one that is on his level IQ-wise, the light-skinned girl from his school, which is named Lauren. Or he can go with the girl he met at the party, which is his roommate's cousin, Diana. I think when they gave us the options of the girls he may choose, it's going to be a decision that he's going to have to face like his father did. Is he going to fall for one but settle for the other? I think what they're setting us up to see is they're going to put Tariq in the same situation as Ghost and see how he handles it. And then it's going to make him realize he made a mistake by killing his father. That's what they're setting us up for.
You know what, Sean? A lot of times I love to disagree with you. It's a lot of fun for me because then that way we can go back and forth all day long. In this particular situation, I find it extremely difficult to disagree with you. I think you've got too strong of, too far this way, which is Neff. Lauren, she's far off this way. Like she's way too good. Leave her alone. Let her flourish.
That's going to be his Tasha.
I wouldn't know where he's near compared to 2 of them.
No. What I'm saying is he's got all 3 right now. He's got all 3 for sure. He's got far left, far right. He's got somewhere in the middle.
Tamika did a hell of a job. She was incredible getting that deal for Tasha. But then she did what she had to. She went ahead and pressured Tasha to trying to go ahead and reveal who the second person was. And that's when it all hit the crap. Then that's how we get into the method. And I thought it was ingenious. Once again, the genius of Tariq is that, he went to social media with his Ezekiel's social media account because it had that far reach going on there. And he was able to incorporate a lot of people. I thought the casting was awesome in this. They had Judge Galante, which is Tony Soprano's sister. From All I Need, that cut with Mary J. Blige and Method, they decided to bring them in because they got that chemistry going on. So I thought the casting was excellent, and the new members seemed to be holding their own as well.
Eric, you said that you had some comments about the judgment, how actually they did not go for the domestic abuse charge.
Let me preface that with this. I am a staunch opposer to men ever putting their hands on a woman. And I was thoroughly disgusted by the way that Ghost put his hands on Tasha in that scene that we all saw. At the same time, I'm also thoroughly against Tasha attempting to use that in a justification for her killing Ghost. That's not right. Don't use that judgment. And at the same time, you are shunning all these women who have been hurt by men. As African-American males, we are targeted in this country right now. There needs to be a discussion, and I've had this with Greg before, but about some of the implications that come about in this show. I told him from the beginning, I thought that Tariq killing his father was going to be a bad implication for the show due to the effect that could potentially have on the Black community.
What I did like about the episode was the diversity placement everywhere he goes. I mean, he's in pretty much an all-white school, but yet he has a Black counselor. He had Jabari, another black teacher who was working with the counselor. I mean, I don't know what exactly he teaches per se, but is going to be that mentor. Mary J surprised me a little bit. I was expecting a little bit less, and I got more. I don't know how I feel about her moving forward as a kingpin, especially when her son reminds me of Rico from Paid in Full. This pretty much is going to be a loose cannon. I don't know if Tariq is immediately going to be welcomed into that family or that realm because they don't know him. He's going to have a lot to prove, and he's not about the streets like they are. So I think they'll let him in because of the, relationship he has with the sister. But it will be interesting to see him join a completely different, gang or movement or whatever you want to call it. And then as far as Sax is already screwed. The episode was halfway through and he screwed himself over. I don't see him lasting very long in this.
Are you referring to Nancy?
Oh, yeah, Nancy. Like, what is that? But see, the thing that now his brother's an attorney as well. I think Sax is going to get caught up finally, how we all wanted it, and then his brother is going to be looking into the matter. I think his brother and his family, because they were introduced so soon, they're going to make immediate impact. I think Method Man, there's more to Meth than what we know. Similar to Councilman Tate, I mean, they didn't lead him as, some kind of criminal enterprise thing like what Tate was doing, but Meth seemed a little bit shady.
Well, we would know. I mean, if he's asking for $500,000 for a case from a kid, you already know. All right, so moving forward, basically what happens is we start to slowly get introduced into the world of the Tejadas. Basically what's happening is Lorenzo Tejada, he's the big head guy, but he's running things from behind prison cells, at least according to the upcoming commercials on it. Basically what's happening is Ezekiel is our doorway. All right, so Simon Stern and one of the deans, they come together and they go ahead and say, okay, well, this is what we need you to do, Tariq, on your hand, to go ahead and fill your part of the bargain. You have to coach this guy and everything, tutoring him and everything. And tutoring somebody and everything, that's a little bit, out of control with that. And then, so that's how we get introduced to Ezekiel. And how do we get introduced to Ezekiel?
We get introduced at the party. He was having sex in the dorm room.
Yeah,
we were introduced to him. That's how we got introduced to him. And it gets exacerbated by the party that he took Tariq to. We then see what happens as a result of the actions that happened at that party. So I think that, we have to understand that this is going to now play a major role. What Tariq doesn't realize is that in the strengthening of his character, it was also then brought down and broke down by Mary J's character, because now she's the one in charge. And Tasha's in jail. That's his mother. Tasha's in jail. Mary J's in charge. Tariq is still in the same place that he was before.
So it's like he's part of a new family and he's got a new mom.
Oh, yeah. He's got a new ghost.
Yeah, so basically Mary J, Monet, she came down and she shut down the whole situation. She coached up her first lieutenant, who was the one who was getting in problems in the first place, and that would be Kane, which some people refer to as Baby Kane because of the similarities of style. And this dude is a loose cannon, like was mentioned before by Sean. So, this guy is going to be trouble, but he's also going to be the enforcer of the organization. So it looks like we're giving a little hint as to what's going on. As far as the Tejadas, we know it's a crime-related family. We know that's where they got their money. We don't know what Mary J's current level of interest is, but she does a ride along to go pick up Kane after he goes ahead and assassinates the dude who caused problems with him at the party.
There was some type of contrast between what a white family versus a family of color look like when they talk about celebrating important events or celebrating something. And as you can see from the Black family, it's all about the party, it's all about the music, it's all about family, it's all about being relaxed. Then when you see a celebration in a white family, it's more about the candles, it's more about that competitive feeling between each other, who's accomplishing more. It's just a different way of celebrating. And it just goes on to that stereotype of how normally people of color are viewed in family reunions or family gatherings.
We have the ability in this show to write this show in the manner in which we want. And do you feel as though we are exacerbating the stereotypes of both races? How can we move forward from a stereotype if in our own shows we are exacerbating said stereotype?
I mean, we are definitely, not just from that point of view, but also from the basketball guy, the guy who plays basketball, Ezekiel, who needs to have a tutor and who needs to have someone to do his homework so that he can succeed academically. Because all he can do is play ball. And that to me, it really is another stereotype, especially as a mom who has a son who plays basketball, but he's an honor student, he's an A student. He goes to a predominantly white school in a private school also. So I'm just afraid that if he watches Power and he watches how this Ezekiel is at school in college, and they will have tutors for him because apparently he can't succeed academically. I'm really going to have to sit down with my son tomorrow and talk to him about this topic. Yeah, as a matter of fact, Ezekiel mentioned that he noticed that his teachers did not want him to read. All they wanted him to do was play ball at school before he got into college. So he is as much as a victim of the system as he is somebody trying to take advantage of him.
I played college basketball. I played professional basketball. For not one moment in my entire life did anyone, or did I even ask anyone to write a paper for me or to write a book report or to read a book and give me the answers so that I can take a test. Not one time. And I honestly take offense to the writers of this first episode that they portrayed this athlete as someone who just needed someone else to do everything for him.
But maybe they're trying to make a statement with that. And the statement they may be trying to make is, because he wouldn't have said that line if they weren't trying to make a statement with it about nobody wanted me to read at my old school. So he's a product of that. So I'm pretty sure that you didn't have teachers and stuff like that coming up in the schools you went to, especially not, from how you were raised with your parents, saying, "Oh, we got this for you. Just go play ball," right?
I'm going to disagree with you. I had teachers, even in high school, who there were tests I've never took that I've gotten A- on. And no, I'm being real. I didn't take them because I was genuinely tired. And I don't take the test and say, "Hey, I'll take the test next day." Teacher tells me, "Oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. We'll get it done when we get it done." And then I look at I get my grades and I'm like, "No, Jesus Christ, I never took that test." And I go ask about that test and they're like, "Don't worry about it."
There you go. So as B mentioned before, a product of the environment. All right, so let's move ahead a little bit. Let's talk about prognosticating for the future. We lost a prognosticator a couple of minutes ago, but he'll be back next time. Basically what's happening is that they showed some clips from the upcoming season. And one of the clips, my brain exploded like standards because they had Lorenz Tate carrying Ghost casket. How does that happen? Isn't Tariq, isn't he involved in the decision-making process? First of all, Tariq has to do everything that he can do to push himself farther and farther and farther away from the murder of Ghost. He knows that the entire estate is riding on him graduating college. Whatever he has to do to push himself farther away from, what being
actually
involved.
happened. Yeah, and being involved, that's what he's gonna do. So, no, I'm not surprised. I think that, he's doing everything he can do right now. He's in full defense. Look, right now, he's like the bad boy Pistons. He's playing defense. There's no layup rule is in effect, but he's got to do what he's got to do. I think that Tasha's going to end up in jail defending Tariq.
Again?
I think that she will name herself as the accomplice and pull Sachs down with her without naming Tariq.
And that's a brilliant point right there, because what's going on with Saxe. Saxe he is John Mock and Stephen Ott from the DNC. They conspired together to go ahead and force Saxe into going ahead and serving these papers as the district attorney. But at the same time, they don't know that his background is in the fact that he was caught there or seen there in truth with a gun. Maybe they might have a different perspective on it, but they probably would get him fired if they knew this as well. So he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. So whatever's going to go down there, he's going to have to try to do something, work with Davis McClain or somebody in order to squeal out from under that. Looks like you froze.
Hey, Powerheads. Up next, we have B Limits, and she's making our character-driven drink, the Tejada.
Good afternoon, everybody. So today I'm going to make you a very special drink. I know that you will enjoy. It's actually made with a very nice Brazilian rum called cachaça. And of course, we're here in my garden where I have some chocolate mint, which I will be using for the drink itself. So first and foremost, what you want to do is actually come in and put all of your mint inside a cup, and then you want to add some sugary drink. This is from Monin. It's actually a lychee syrup that you can add to add some really interesting Japanese flavor to the drink. And not a lot, because if you don't want it too sweet, you don't want to put too much of that inside your drink. And then what you want to do is actually mash it all in so all the oils come out from the mint leaves. And then you can actually have really nice mint chocolate flavor. And you can actually smell it. It's delicious. And then what you want to add is your cachaça. And of course, you know, it's going to be a very strong drink. So you want to use maybe 2 ounces of that because you don't want it to overpower the flavors of the mint and the lychee syrup. And then what you also want to do is add some lime to it. And it's delicious because it's got that lychee Japanese flavor to it, along with the Brazilian flavor. You're going to love this drink. And you can actually smell it now. All the aromas are coming out of this glass. And once you put all of maybe 1 lime, then you can add your cubes of ice to make it nice and cool. It's very hot, approximately 90 degrees in natural humidity, which a drink like this will make you feel much, much better. Give it a swirl, and then you take one of these, and then you definitely want to give it a nice swirl here so that you can blend all of the flavors and make it really, really nice and cold. And you can add your garnish to make it look really pretty, really nice. And salud, everybody. Ooh. It's absolutely delicious.
Okay, here we go with our question and answer segment from our interactive audience. Our first question is from L, and he lets us know what his opinion is.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's L. Here's my question. I hated Tariq in Power. Absolutely hated him. So in this season, how is his character going to play out? Is he going to become someone that I'm going to really like and root for? Or is he going to become someone that I hope dies within the next episode? Peace.
Thank you for your question, El. Basically, what's happening with that is that they definitely, with the first episode, they let us know, you know, it's not the same Tariq that we've been used to. We've been hit with all sorts of angles as far as Tariq's character. It looked like so far that he was a spoiled brat, that he had no emotions and no feelings as far as his dad, but all the emotions and feelings were towards his mom. And that was all he was. But then we got to take into account, you know, go send him to the best schools. He stressed education with them. I do remember them talking about his grade point average, and it was very high. So what's happening with the new Ghost book 2 is that they're really stressing Tariq's intellect and how he can go ahead and manipulate the situations around him to go ahead and accomplish his goals, which is number one, to go ahead and get out of there in 3 years. It was 4 years, but 3 years with a good GPA so he can get his inheritance. And number two, try to get Josh out of jail and handle the business of the family. So basically, they're changing our minds a little bit. The way Tariq is flowing, he doesn't seem like an arrogant guy. And they're kind of trying to twist everything around and head in a different direction with Tariq. Definitely, I actually appreciate it because it gives me a more appreciation for the character. All right, our next question is from Cameron. He's coming out of Vegas. And just to let you know, he's one of those guys that can't really let go of this feeling that maybe Ghost is not dead. But I'll be honest with you, I'll be fighting with my colleagues on this one, but I don't think he's dead either. And there's an excellent clip that Cameron has to show us.
Yo, he is not dead, yo. Ghost ain't dead. I'm gonna tell you all right now. What's up with his ambulance? Like, he had to make sure that the ambulance was there. He ain't dead.
Okay, so excellent point by Cameron. To be honest with you, it makes a lot of sense and it clears up a lot of holes for us. Basically, what's happening is that Ghost already knew that there were a lot of people out gunning to get him, but who was the number one suspect? Because Ghost was like, he was trying to make sure that he was killed, but Dre was still alive. So that is his number one enemy. He's come to his place of business. He's made threats against him. This is the dude who's most likely probably trying to take him out. You have Lawrence Tate's character, who came and he actually tried to warn Ghost's character, but at the same time, it's like Ghost kind of dismissed him, but maybe he actually took into account, maybe I'm trying to be warned about something. Maybe Tate is actually valid in what he's trying to communicate to, even though Tate started off the conversation entirely the wrong way. So given that fact, Ghost knew that somebody was out to get him. All right, now let's look at the situation with the ambulances, okay? The ambulances came into play when Tommy went to Teresa's, his dad went to Teresa's wife. The wife suggested that he uses the ambulance to transport his drugs because they would not be starved by the police. So that's something that he kind of incorporated. That's also something that Ghost knew about, because when Ghost was trying to kill Tommy, because he felt Tommy was trying to kill him, he rammed his ambulance with his actual SUV. So given that fact, both of them knew that the ambulances were in play. Now, as Ghost approached truth, and that is the 10th episode, and that's where everything started, where they started doing different points of view, everybody's angle and everything like that. He gave a nod over to the ambulance, which you could see on the videotape, and the ambulance blew the horn at him. And that's not a typical ambulance siren or anything like that. It's an acknowledgement. Ghost was probably prepared to be shot. And given that that's the case, probably wore a vest. Now, as we all know, vests are not foolproof. And as we all know, Ghost got blasted over the railing and dropped about 2 stories, and he was bleeding from the chest area. Now, there's a lot of things going on at the chest, but the main guys that you have to worry about, the heart and all those guys and stuff like that, the vital organs are going to be protected, but that's not saying that something is not going to be nicked, that's going to be causing a lot of blood and a lot of injury. And who is not going to be injured when they fall 2 stories over a balcony? Now, Tommy's on the scene. Who knows about the ambulances? Tommy. Now, the cops are not going to question the ambulance drivers, the EMTs who are on the scene, about whether or not somebody is dead or not. So that being the case, it's easy to see that it is possible that Tommy arranged for Ghost to be transported via the ambulances out of the situation without having to be stopped by the cops. All they got to do is put him in a body bag and the cops are done with it, and he could still be alive. Cam, that was an excellent expose of what really happened in the previous season. We have Roderick, and Roderick is coming out of Washington, D.C.
Hello, Power fans and family. Lauren is already falling for Tariq. And Monet's daughter, Diane, also has big eyes for Tariq. How will or can Tariq juggle both? My answer is it's going to be easy up front because they're in two different worlds. There's the college life world versus the street life world. So they kind of going to be in separate situations at different times. But the crossover is the fact that Tariq's roommate now is in both worlds. And Diane is his cousin. That's where it's going to get sticky, and that's when the crossover is going to get questionable. We'll keep watching, see what happens. Peace.
Okay, so that was an excellent query written from Washington, D.C., who seems to have answered his own question, but at the same time, there are a couple of things that we can maybe fill in the blanks with. One is that true. Diana lives in the world of the Tejadas, and that is the gangster side that Tariq is trying to figure out whether or not he wants to be involved with or not. He still has to get that money to go ahead and pay Davis McLean to go ahead and represent his mom. So at the same time, there's a connect. It's an easy connect for him. But I don't know how quickly he wants to respond to Diana's advances. She seems to be having eyes for him, like Rick said. She's like throwing it out there. But at the same time, what are you going to do? That's the situation where, what's her mom? Her mom is Monet. What's her brother? Crazy ass Kane, who everybody's referring to as Baby Kanan. I don't know. I mean, this dude is nuts, and he's shooting people and punching people left and right. I don't know if you want to get on that guy's bad side. And Drew, automatically, that's the one dude he was introduced to by Zeke. And Drew looked at him very, very questionable to start. So you really don't want to get on the bad side of Tejada family by going and screwing over the daughter. So that's something that he has to be very careful with. And then he has the two other love interests. You got the situation with Lauren. She seems to be feeling him. And at the same time, she's going to get wind of some things that are going on outside of that world. And then you got Effie. Effie screwed him over. So, that's something he has to really be on the lookout for. Good question, Rick from DC. Okay, next up we have Kane.
My name is Trent Kane. I'm from Tennessee, Clarksville, Tennessee. My question is, how did John Sachs become the #1 DA? And the way I am looking at this season right here, the sequel is like a spinoff from Empire because Cookie went to jail and she was holding it down. Now Tasha is going to jail and everybody else had to hold the roll down and figure out the best way to get her out without her actually telling who actually did everything. So my question is, how did John Sachs get put in place to be the #1 DA? That's what I want to know. Can someone answer that question for me?
That is a very in disguise Kane, and he let us know straight out of Tennessee, what his comparisons were, and that's a very good comparison. I mean, Cookie Lyons, she went down, she got locked up. She was holding it down for the family. Tasha's trying to hold it down for the family at the same time. So that was a really good parallel. So good looking out Kane for that one. At the same time, basically what's happening is he had a question and try to figure out how John Sachs got put in his position. Well, here's the thing. John Mock is that individual who had a lot of power and a lot of sway, and apparently he's been promoted to a higher position. Now, what's happening is he never really liked Angela, and he was kind of leaning on the side of Sachs to start with. And then he didn't like Jacob Warner. We saw that in a previous interaction where they kind of dissed each other in the middle of the street. So any opportunity he had where he can pull the rug out from under Jacob Warner and put somebody at least, the devil So Sachs is the devil So anytime he could pull out the rug from somebody who is like a cat he can't trust and put the devil in position, that's what he did. And that's how Sachs got to be in that position. Next up, we have Brian, and he is coming out of Lynchburg, Virginia.
Hey, what's up? It's Brian from Lynchburg, Virginia. I like how Tariq got Effie back by not paying her, but he knows he has to get more from her. So I'm trying to figure out how that's all going to work out.
All right. Ryan, that's an excellent question. And that's a good question. It's really hard to figure out because, to be honest with you, I mean, Effie is the source for right now. Now, an alternative source, because we really don't know what the heck is going on with Monet. Monet's situation is like this. We know they were a gangster. All right. We know that her husband, Lorenzo Tejada, went away. All right. And now she is the head of the clan. All right. We know he went away for murdering somebody. So that means already it's some underworld crap going on there. You know, gambling, hustling, prostitution, drugs, whatever. So, but we don't know which one it is, or maybe it's all of them. All right. So that's what's going on with them. So at the same time, Effie is somebody who she has a connect, and Tariq did what he had to do because she screwed him. She got him kicked out of his school, and it's like got reported and everything like that, kind of ruined his future until all of a sudden, you know, God just opened the doors and he was able to get into Stansfield under Simon Stern's graces, which God knows you don't want to be under those graces. But basically what's happening with that is that he still has some grudgeful feelings, especially since she was professing her feelings towards him. So given the fact that she has these mixed feelings going on there, he was right. He went into pimp mode and he was like, he took her supply and he rolled out. And she's like, "You're not gonna pay me?" And he was like, "It's just business," just like she said about him getting kicked out. So that was like nice little touche going on there. Basically what's happening with that is that she actually can't hate him. Right? She was already feeling him. You know, she's pulling on his coat and all this other crap, you know, affection and all that. And at the same time, you know, she's starting to stick to the business game. But he had to give her a lesson. He had to say, "Hey, you know, this is what I'm willing to stand for and this is what I'm not willing to stand for. You screwed me over. I'm screwing you over right now. So what's going on in the future?" So she has to look at that and say, okay, this is something that I'm willing to deal with or not willing to deal with, or I'm saying, okay, I can understand his feelings from what he did to me because I did something worse than him. And then, so that really, I don't think, burns the bridges with that connect. All right. So then on the other side, you got the Monet situation. Tariq has to find out what these people are really about and if they can help him. And if you can see from the commercials that are previewing what's going on with them, there's obviously something going on where they're going to work together. So let's leave it up to that. I think really he has another avenue other than Effie, but he might play both against each other. All right. So next question we have is from Nakia. And Nakia is coming from out of Washington, D.C.
Hi, fellow Powerheads. This is Nakia from D.C. And I want to know what's going on between Professor Wilburn and Jabari. There seems to be some heat going on there. Okay,
so that's a good question from Nakia as well. Basically, what's going on with those guys? They got some heat going on. All right, so obviously the situation was like, he was like, well, you know, back when we were together and all this other crap. So basically they had a relationship previously. But guess what? This dude is not holding real grudges. He still has some feelings. He's in his feelings from that. But people who are really in their feelings, you're not going to get any type of cooperation from them. And so she's actually, Professor Wilburn's actually proposed that Tariq is somebody that is worthy of some empathy and some support. And so he goes in there with an open mind. You can tell when he's sitting there listening to Tariq, he's actually nodding his head and he's like, okay, this is an intelligent guy with some insight. And it's really going to be a waste if we just dump on this kid. So you kind of got to like that because you got to kind of admire Jabari's character because he's in his feelings obviously still. But at the same time, you know, he's using as much of objectivity. He's using that to kind of like say, okay, well, I actually value Professor Wilburn's attitude, experience, and knowledge. And maybe she's making some sense with this dude. Let me have my eyes and ears open and see what's going on. So thank you all for these excellent questions and statements. And we will see you all next week at the PowerWatch.